My name is James Harris, and I pastor at Trenches Community Church in Kalamazoo, Michigan. In partnership with Urban Alliance, Group Violence Intervention, and our community, we will be providing for you a documentary in 5 episodes concerning the pain our community is experiencing because of gun violence. Our goal is to change the narrative from taking the life of a person to cultivating the life of our brothers and sisters. CDC reports 45,000 people died from gun violence in 2020, a 15% increase from 2019. That's more than 125 people that die every day from gun violence. Gun violence has escalated to unprecedented heights around our world and right here in our own city. As of mid-October, the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety reported 13 gun-related homicides and 62 non-fatal shootings in 2021. All of us are being impacted by gun violence, and our community wants to eradicate it because of the insurmountable pain that's being produced. One thing I'm noticing about the pain of gun violence is this: whether it's the victims or the perpetrators, pain on many occasions can birth purpose. What you are going to experience over the next several months is the voice of people who are experiencing this pain and have allowed that pain to birth an assignment. Hopefully, you will feel their pain and it will encourage you to help our city become a safer place to live. Remember this: hands are meant to heal and not to kill. Well, as we continue as a community to eradicate gun violence in Kalamazoo, I have 2 amazing friends of mine that I honor and respect dearly. You know, I have Chief Coakley, who is the City Chief of Police, and then I have Brian Ergang, who is the Township Chief of Police. Welcome, guys, to the 5th episode of Pain.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, these are my guys right here. You know, we've had some prayer time together. We've had some eating time together. All right, we've also had some battles on the basketball court together, and I'm still hurting from Chief Coakley posting me up, you know, out there. But man, thanks for joining us. You know, we want to continue in our fight against gun violence, and what you guys do in our community is much appreciated, you know, much respected in my from my point of view, you know. So I just wanted to get some wisdom in the room, and I believe that you guys have wisdom and experience. So let's talk about, you know, eradicating this gun violence in our city. I would like to ask you guys this question because you're in law enforcement, and there might be some language and some verbiage that we may not be hearing, you know, in our city, you know, to why gun violence is escalating in our world and in our city.
Well, I think there's no simple answer and there's no one answer. I think part of the problem is there's a much bigger access to weapons, particularly guns, than there ever has been before. There's an acceptance in our society about the way we use guns. And I think you're seeing that proliferation in our communities and people's attitudes in dealing with certain situations, in feeling like using guns is the right way to go. But we know that there's a finality to that. And that's just the impact on the community is just so detrimental.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yeah, let me when you let off, Chief Ergang and I might be the 2 chiefs, and we sit out front. But every day, the men and women from our departments are out there every day doing the work, and doing the work in the community to be servant leaders, to eradicate gun violence, in an attempt to do so. And then we have a we have a program, GVI, in which we're talking about group violence intervention and the outreach workers to do that and reach and talk to those who are out there. So those are the foot soldiers. Brian and I may take some of the credit because we're out front all the time, but the men and women within our organizations do that work every day. So I want to start with that. But to your question, to your point about why is gun violence prevalent in our communities, if we knew, we would be billionaires. But to Chief Ergain's point, there's a plethora of reasons, too many to name, but let me just say this. People feel unsafe. People put themselves in unsafe positions and places. Socially, we have become, as we spoke on, we have accepted gun violence. We have accepted violent behavior in our community, and we use that to mitigate our situations. If I disagree with you, then I'm going to use gun violence. If you have something I want, someone's going to use gun violence. Why is that? How can we as a community, and that's all of us as family, say no, don't do that. Stop, don't do that. Don't take the phone out to record that. Call 911 immediately so we don't have a break or gap in time to respond to these issues. It's important for us as leaders of the community to have this message, one message, and we need the social pressures, not just from law enforcement, our community, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Williams, in our community, the social pressures to say stop. Because someone in our family, we're not immune to that, in our family, is using gun violence.
Yeah, and that's good, because as you're talking about that, you know, I'm just thinking of the word abnormal. This is abnormal. This is not normal, you know, and as we continue to do this work, we need a paradigm shift, you know, because the abnormality is costing us on multiple levels, and we've accepted this. And speaking of the abnormality and what it's costing us, you know, what devastation have you guys experienced as a result of what you do on your platforms? What have you seen?
The loss of life, okay? Let's start there. The loss of life. Where can you go from there? You can only go, you can't go up, you can go down. The loss of life in our community is devastating. You can't bring that back. And you know, you can get economically, you can go into education, you can talk about resources, but when you talk about the loss of life and the loss of a loved one, a loss of a community member, a young person, you can't take that back, and you can't go anywhere with that. And so that devastation that cycle can continue. Okay, and if it continues, we continue to have that loss of life. We talked earlier about people in prison. That's again, loss of life for a period of time or forever. You never get to have that person back into the community. So when you take people out of our community, that loss can build time and time again. Young people, boys and girls lose loved ones, fathers, mothers. They lose that time. So when I see those types of things, because I didn't have a father always in my life, and that intermediate time that I didn't have him was impactful for me. So what does that mean for young Joey or young Susie in our community when we have loss of life?
Yeah,
what devastation have you seen and experienced?
Yeah, the impact is immeasurable.
Yeah.
And so we talk about the impact on, you know, not just a shooter and going to prison, but the victim that never gets a chance to grow up and to become, you know, something in society and their family. Can't measure the loss of a loved one. The impact to our community, the trauma that occurs to people who that witness this or who know neighbors and friends. And we see the impact every day on our officers. I mean, our folks are responding to these all too often, and this is not something they can just unsee or unexperience. This is trauma that they carry with them for the rest of their lives. And again, that cascades to their families and their friends. To talk about the devastation that a single shooting or a single victim has on our society ripples well beyond just the original situation.
Yes, man. That makes me think about us, some type of way getting back to valuing life. Valuing. It's amazing how when a baby is born, if you're normal, you're gonna rejoice and value that baby and take care of that baby. And somewhere down the road, we lose that type of innocence towards a human being, and that's what we want to try to do. You guys, a community is trying to do, is to get us back to that place where, man, I can value you as a human being.
Dear shooter, after more than 30 years, I still have vivid dreams of the day you unloaded your gun into my little brother and my friend. I recall hearing the screams of my mother and older sister as the loud noise of gunshots echoed through my home. I still have the picture inscribed in my mind of you entering my home with my little brother at gunpoint. You were after me, but chose to take it out on my family. You are still a coward for what transpired that evening. I accept my responsibility as it was supposed to be me you were after. I watched my mother attend to both my brother and friend as she awaited the paramedics. You invaded the one space that gave my family a sense of safety. Because of you, my brother still has a bullet in his body. He is forever scarred. I too have a scar from that night and will forever remember the pain you inflicted. I want you to know that my life has changed. It is because of this that I've chosen to forgive you. I'm still able to talk and see my brother. Although you caused him physical harm, he has still chosen to forgive. Today I know hating you will only keep me in bondage. So I pray that you have found freedom just as we have. Chris Pompey, Executive Director of Urban Alliance.
Dear shooter, imagine yourself, your mother, your child, or one of your loved ones looking down the barrel of a gun. What are they thinking? This is a question you should ask yourself before allowing yourself to come to that point of putting the trigger on someone else's child, father, mother, or loved one. Maybe it's you looking down that barrel. How would you feel? Mike Monroe, Group Violent Intervention.
Dear shooter, while this is difficult for me to acknowledge, it's simply the truth. I fear you sometimes more than I do the police. There are far too many young black shooters senselessly terrorizing our black communities with no regard for life, not even your own. As a mother, I want for you what I want for my own children and grandchildren: love, life, and prosperity. Please don't cause your parents the pain and sorrow of having to bury you or visit you in prison. Put down the guns and choose forgiveness, peace, love, and life. Wendy Fields, President of the Kalamazoo branch of the NAACP.
Dear individual who is shooting, I want you to know that we love you and you are an important member of our community. You may or may not have heard this before, but I want to let you know that you were created by God for a special purpose. No matter what anyone has told you, no matter what society tells us, you are wonderfully made. As Dr. Addis Moore would say, God created you for a special positive purpose, to fix a problem and to do something that only you can do. Society is not fair. There are many obstacles and so much pain that can't be explained. But what I do know is that with God, we can navigate those struggles together as a village. We are here for you, and my prayer is each and every time that you look in the mirror, you see yourself the way that God sees you, as a beloved leader of purpose, a gifted person of peace, and of love. Beloved brother, sister, family member, we love and we need you. Our village needs you. Charlay Davis, the Executive Director of Isaac.
We have street memorials throughout our neighborhoods, balloons, stuffed animals, candles, hearts, wooden crosses, RIPs and RIHs. These memorials are constant reminders of the violence in our city. Families reflect back on the scene of the crime, and the pain of them seeing their loved one resurfaces again. It never goes away. The blood of their son, daughter, mother, father, uncle, or aunt cries out for justice, for the death to be avenged through the court of law, not retaliation, and another senseless murder.
Dear shooter, before you shoot, please know that this is an opportunity that I have prayed for. You are an answered prayer for me. I prayed to talk to you before you shoot. I believe that if you really know who you are, you would not pull that trigger and you would put the gun down and devote your life to saving lives rather than destroying them. I need you to know that I found you in the pages of the Bible, and God sees you quite different than you are right now. You are special to God. As a matter of fact, He calls you His masterpiece. You have a phenomenal purpose that will make others' lives better and not worse. The person you are about to shoot belongs to God as well. God loves you and gave His Son to pay for all your sins. It is not too late for you to change your path and embrace the wonderful life that God has for you. He has plans for you that includes peace, comfort, hope, joy, and prosperity. God loves you. I love you. And God has sent me to deliver this message to you. I would love to assist you in becoming the very special person that God has created you to be. I invite you to a personal relationship with me and the Mount Zion as we figure out and do this together. I have a team of individuals praying for you and cheering for you and believing the best in and for you. That is more. Mount Zion Baptist Church pastor.
The world can be a cruel place, full of sorrow and struggle. What we need is strong, brave people who are willing to stand up and take a risk to do what is right, to build a caring community. You have a purpose. We need you. David Anderson, Mayor, City of Kalamazoo.
Now, I've talked to you guys on several occasions, one-on-one, and been around you guys, and I know no one can tell me that you guys don't love this community. Outside of the blue, as men, right? You guys love people and you love our community. What words of compassion do you have, for those who are contemplating pulling that trigger this summer?
Please don't. Please don't. Stop. Let's find a different way to mitigate our issues, to change circumstances. What do you need? What resource can we as a community help you arrive at? Whatever that is, I believe as a community, we can help you get what you need, get you where you need to be. Whether it's help you with your mitigation and resources, jobs, careers. We all have to work. We can't take from one another, okay? Family's important. Who are we missing? We have systems in place, organizations in place to fill those gaps. For me, That father that wasn't there, I used the Police Athletic League. Those men were that stopgap for me in my life to help me along to get where I needed. So I took healthy choices to get where I am today. I'm thankful for that. I'm a faithful man, Pastor, as you know, and so is my partner here. We're faithful men. And so faith helped us get to that point too. So it wasn't just us. We didn't do this on our own. We had support systems. Even though people were removed from our lives, we reached out and others reached and teach for us. And so as we use our Police Athletic League in this community, as we use GVI, as we use Urban Alliance, as we use Isaac to be that stopgap for our community, we have to use those things. And as family, we have to talk to our community or to our family members and not give them that pass. Oftentimes, when we have to make death notifications, you know what I hear from family, what we hear from family? Well, I knew so-and-so was going to get so-and-so. Well, he was acting this way. Why didn't we do something? Why didn't we reach out? We have resources to help community.
Yeah, I get it. I get the fear of speaking up. I get that. But I'm hoping as a community that we become courageous enough to let our voice be heard. We have to start speaking up about this, because just like you guys were saying, the devastation of it is on multiple levels, and we're responsible. Yes. We're responsible. God has placed us on this earth to be a good steward over one another, all right, and the earth. So basically, what words of compassion would you?
To think, and you started this off by talking about love, and just love is really easy.
Yeah.
Please don't do this.
Yeah.
And understand that in the moment that flashes by really quickly, your life can change that fast. And rest assured, and we talked about this, that Chief Coakley and I have sworn to keep this community safe. And we aren't from here, but we belong here. We live here, our lives are here, yes. And we will do what we can to protect our community. Yes. So even though that decision you made in a split second has changed somebody else's lives, our intention is to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And if you have to be removed from society, then so be it. But also think about the impact it has to others' family. You talked about putting yourself on the other side of it, but there's a victim and a shooter who will never see another parent's birthday, another child's birthday. They'll never experience another birthday themselves, either outside of prison or alive. And so those things have far-reaching consequences. To just take a minute and think about being at trenches and listening to Pastor Harris, and is there a different way to go in this moment? Because violence is going to end everything too quickly. Yeah, man.
While you're sitting here saying that, I'm just thinking you talked about the word love, and if we can see this in another way as it relates to law enforcement, and enforcing the law, watch this. That stop sign is law. But that stop sign is not there to hurt me. That stop sign is there to help me. It's because if I run that stop sign, I could run into someone, or they could run into me, and somebody could be hurt really bad. So we have law that I would say can be defined as another way that God expresses his love for us. And that's to keep us free, that's to keep us safe, and so forth. So love disciplines you also. It doesn't always run, it corrects you. And that's what we're trying to bring to the table, some type of correction, because we love the people in our community, right? So, guys, you talked about our community helping us. How important is that? Because it's not a law enforcement thing, it's not a church thing. You know, what would you say to our community to help us with this social ill?
It's not important, it's critical.
Yes. Yeah.
It's critical.
Yeah.
And you know, there's the saying, the police are the public and the public are the police. We're members of the community as well. And so when we hire new officers, we talk about the meaning of the badge and what it means. And the badge is a symbol from the knights of old. And the knights used to carry a shield, and on the shield was an emblem or a symbol of their community. And ours is no different. My badge doesn't say Brian on it, and yours doesn't say Vernon on it. Mine says Kalamazoo Township. I'm sworn to protect and serve the people in Kalamazoo Township, and I wear that shield over my heart. And it means that I'm with them, and we need your help. We can't be everywhere at every time. And what we see sometimes in the community is apathy, right? We see a failure to want to help keep the community safe. We collaborate as partners daily, and our officers collaborate up to the minute, sharing information. And we ask nothing less from the community, and they should expect nothing less from us. Why we go to meetings and why we share information and why we tell some of these stories is to build relationships, to let them know that we're here to make the community safe. But they have to be involved, and we need their help. And without that, we simply just can't do it.
If I could just add, I've said this in a lot of circles, and that for a long, long time, this profession tried to do it on their own. We did. We tried to police communities on our own. The community gives us the authority to govern, to use law to govern our citizens to do the right thing. The citizens give us that. We recognize that we no longer can do this like that anymore. We as a community have to be the change agents. We have to, as a community, to be transformational, to say, to go back to, because when I was younger, the neighbor had the authority to whoop my butt if I was out of line. Well, we've lost that. We've lost family. That concept, that structure of family. We don't sit at the table and eat with one another anymore. Every day I see young people eating out of a bag, eating out of a styrofoam cup, eating out of a styrofoam box. Where is that family? It's lost. Social pressure has to come alive in our community. Social pressure. And then with that, because some of that's happening, but then the young people push back and are disrespectful, are angry, and do some other behavioral things. And now we've gotten to where what we're talking about again. That perpetuates the cycle. We have to, at some place in some place like yesterday, come together to say enough's enough. How do we change?
Yeah, man. You know, and that word "come together" is so. I don't want to water that down, and because we can do this. We can do this together. We were created, right? If you would allow me, when God in Genesis says, let us create man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion. Let them rule, let them govern together, not separately. So we're supposed to be in this thing together, not separately. So I agree with my brothers. This is a community effort, And we really, really need the community's help, because from my experience here in Kalamazoo, I came from the Detroit area. I love my city. I love my city. I love the people in my city. I love the people that I work with, you know, on a daily basis. So, man, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Love you, brothers.
Thanks, brother.
Y'all do a good work in our city. Love you guys.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
Dear shooter, think. That's all I'm going to ask you to do. Think about what you'll be giving up for quick gratification, respect, or disrespect over something that you might not value in a couple years or months. Think about the people you'll be giving up. Your mother's birthdays, your sister's birthdays, your brother's birthdays, all your family's birthdays, all your 4th of Julys, all your Christmases, New Year's Eve, all of the celebrations with your family and friends. The decision you are about to make will change everything forever. This one moment in time, you cannot come back from. You cannot come back to your mother. You cannot help your sister out. You cannot help your brother or cousins. You won't be there for the celebrations of your children, to see them take their first step or lose their teeth, to graduate from school or to have their own babies. No more spade games or tunk games after Thanksgiving dinner with your family and people. How can I help you this summer? You will be at a crossroads in life. The choice is up to you to either walk away and live a full life, and right now it may not seem like the best life, but I can say from my heart that it is a better life with you out here than getting locked up. The quest that you are on is not over until you pull that trigger. Dexter Mitchell, Kalamazoo Township Manager.
Dear shooter, I just want you to know you're worth being alive and free. You're worth more than your gun. I know you're a tough guy. I know you ain't scared, but I want you to think about your mother. Your mother don't deserve to stand in the courtroom and watch you get natural life without parole for murder. Your mothers don't deserve this, dear shooters. All of us are yets in life. You can be a haven't got hired yet or haven't got fired yet. Haven't dropped out yet, haven't graduated yet. Don't be a I haven't killed nobody yet. Don't be a haven't got killed yet. It's up to you what kind of yet you want to be in your life. Michael Wilder, Group Violence Intervention Coordinator, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Dear shooter, everyone wants to feel safe and everyone deserves to be safe. And we want those that are close to us to be safe too. Our brothers and sisters, parents, friends, and family. When someone picks up a gun or resorts to violence to solve a problem, it shatters that safety for everyone. You're potentially ending someone's life, you're endangering innocent bystanders, and you're putting your own life and future in danger from retaliation or going to jail. You have so much to offer to this community, and we need you to be safe, healthy, and free. Kalamazoo City Manager Jim Ritzma.
Dear shooter, there's a difference between real power and perverted power. Real power keeps you free mentally, socially, financially, spiritually, and geographically. That's what loving your neighbor as yourself does. Perverted power promises you the territory, fame, riches, or the world, but enslaves you to live in fear, a suppressed reality, vengeance, hate, anger, and not to mention perpetual trauma, causing you to be a producer of pain. Perverted power is a life full of torment, guilt, shame, and hiding. It deceives you to think you are invincible and entices you to take a life which will result in you getting natural life. Locked up like an animal, that's not normal, and controlled by a prison system that makes billions off of your deceived power. Perverted power is one of the ultimate illusions, a mirage. It appears to give you dominion and solidify manhood, but when you partake of it, you arrive at something that promised freedom, but you got something else, nothing. Nothing but entrapment because you took the bait. Perverted power always promises you everything at the expense of you losing everything. James Harris, Outreach Manager, Urban Alliance.